Ever had that feeling? Your heart's pounding, your breathing gets shallow, your mind is just racing, and you have no idea why? Yeah, that's the grip of anxiety. Today, we're going to get right into the science of it. We're talking about why our brains, which are built to keep us safe, sometimes just go into overdrive. But here's the really important part. When you understand how it's wired, you can actually start to rewire it. So let's dive in and take a look under the hood of our own minds. I love this quote. It just nails it, right? Anxiety feels like you're doing so much, all that worrying, all that planning, all that thinking, but you're basically just stuck in place, not making any progress. It's a perfect description. But, to really get why that rocking chair starts moving in the first place, we have to go back to its source. We have to talk about fear. Okay, so first things first. We can't talk about anxiety without first talking about fear. And I want to be super clear about this. Fear is not a bad thing. It's not a weakness. It's actually this amazing built-in alarm system that's literally kept humans from going extinct. So fear is what happens when your brain spots a real, actual danger, right here, right now. It's what kicks off that classic fight or flight response. And suddenly, your body is flooded with everything it needs to either, fight for your life or run like heck. It's an absolutely brilliant survival tool. But how does this happen so fast? I mean, like in a blink of an eye, before you've even had a chance to think about what you're seeing? Well, it's because your brain takes a shortcut, a super fast pathway. So look at this. Your eyes see something, say a snake on a trail. That signal doesn't go to your thinking brain first. Nope. It zips straight to this little sensory hub called the thalamus. And the thalamus, it's like an emergency dispatcher. It doesn't waste a second. It shoots an urgent alert directly to the amygdala. That's when the alarm goes off, flooding your whole body with get-ready signals, all before your conscious mind has even registered, hey, that's a snake. And this little guy, the amygdala, is really the main character in this story. It's this tiny, almond-shaped part of your brain, but it's basically the command center for fear. It gets that emergency alert from the thalamus, and bam, it slams the big red panic button. That's what triggers everything, the pounding heart, the sweaty hands, the whole deal. Okay, so we have this amazing life-saving alarm system, but what happens when that alarm gets a little faulty, when it starts going off all the time? Well, that's where we get into anxiety. It's when that fear system just becomes way too sensitive. The best way to think about it is this. Fear is your smoke alarm going off when your house is actually on fire. It's saving your life. Anxiety, that's the same smoke alarm, just screaming its head off because you slightly overdid the toast. The alarm is real, but the danger isn't. And for folks with anxiety disorders like PTSD, it's like that alarm is just stuck in the on position. The fire was put out a long time ago, but the alarm is still ringing, convincing your body the danger is right here, right now. And this is what's so wild. We can actually see this happening in the brain. Check out this chart. It's from brain imaging studies. When scientists show people a picture of something as simple as a fearful face, look at the difference. In people without anxiety disorders, the amygdala fires up a little bit. But in people with anxiety disorders, whoa, it goes into overdrive. It lights up like a Christmas tree. This isn't just a feeling, it's biology. It's hard evidence of that hypersensitive alarm system. But, and this is a huge but, this is where the whole story changes. This is where we get to the good news. Because here's the thing. Most of the stuff that makes us anxious isn't hardwired. It's learned. And this is probably the most important thing you'll hear today. If something can be learned, it can be unlearned. Your brain isn't set in stone. It's built to change. So how does that work? Well, scientists figured this out with a classic experiment called fear conditioning. It's pretty simple. You take a mouse, you play a sound. The mouse doesn't care, it's just a sound. Then you give the mouse a tiny, unpleasant shock. Okay, now it's scared. But here's the trick. You start playing the sound right before the shock, over and over. What happens? The mouse's brain connects the dots. It creates an association. And pretty soon, just hearing that sound with no shock at all is enough to make the mouse totally freak out. Okay, so that's how we learn fear. But even more amazing is how we can unlearn it. This is a process called extinction. And it works exactly how you'd think. You take that same scared mouse and you play the sound again and again and again, but this time there's no shock. Ever. The mouse's brain starts to learn a new rule, a more accurate rule. Hey, wait a minute. This sound doesn't mean danger anymore. This sound means I'm safe. The old scary memory doesn't just vanish, but the brain writes a new, stronger, safer memory right on top of it. It's literally like rewriting the ending of a scary story. And this isn't just about mice in a lab. This is us. This is how our brains work. Just look at this number. It's incredible.
Something like 75% of us, 3/4 of all people, will go through a major traumatic event in our lives, but only about 7% go on to develop PTSD. Why is that gap so huge? It's because of extinction. It's our brain's natural built-in ability to heal. We are wired for resilience. We're designed to eventually learn the danger is over, I'm safe now.
So how do we take this science and use it to help people? Well, that's exactly what exposure therapy is. It's probably one of the most powerful tools we have for anxiety. Let's take a classic example, a fear of spiders. You don't just jump into a pit of tarantulas, right? No way. You start super small, building what's called a fear hierarchy. Maybe step 1 is just thinking about a spider. Once you can do that without freaking out, maybe you look at a cartoon drawing of a spider, then a photo, then a video. Each step is like a mini extinction trial. You're teaching your brain over and over again, see, spider cue, no danger. You're slowly and safely rewriting that code. But, anxiety isn't just about a racing heart or a learned reaction to a spider. A huge part of it is about our thoughts. It's about the stories our mind tells us about what's going on. And the cool thing is, just like we can retrain our brain's fear response, we can absolutely retrain these thought patterns too. Okay, let's try a quick thought experiment. Imagine this. You're just sitting there and all of a sudden your heart starts racing for no reason you can see. Now that physical feeling itself, it's just a sensation. It's neutral. It's the story you tell yourself about it that matters. So what's your brain's immediate headline? So you can go down 2 very different roads here. The anxious interpretation immediately jumps to the worst possible conclusion. Oh my God, this is a heart attack. I'm dying. Instant panic. But what if you took a breath and considered a more balanced view? I did just slam that giant coffee. It's probably just the caffeine. See? It's the exact same physical sensation, but the emotional result is completely different. It's all about how you interpret it. And this idea is right at the heart of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It's not about just banking positive. It's about giving you a real, practical toolkit for dealing with your thoughts. It's like becoming a detective for your own mind. First, you learn to identify those automatic negative thoughts as soon as they pop up. Then you evaluate them. You ask, is this 100% true? What's the evidence? Then you work on reframing it, coming up with a more balanced, realistic alternative. And finally, you go out and test that new thought. It's a skill, and like any skill, you get better with practice.
All right, so let's zoom out for a second. Because beyond these specific therapies and techniques, there are things we can all do every single day to build up our brain's resilience, to basically make that faulty alarm less twitchy and less likely to fire. And the science on this is just crystal clear. The things you see here, these are the absolute pillars of a resilient mind. We're talking about things like meditation or mindfulness, which directly calm your nervous system. Regular exercise, which is fantastic for burning off stress chemicals. What you eat, getting good sleep, and having strong social connections. These aren't just, nice little extras. This is fundamental maintenance for your brain's operating system. And again, this isn't just theory. There's real neuroscience here. Every single one of these habits helps strengthen your prefrontal cortex. That's the more evolved, logical, CEO part of your brain. And that part of your brain has a direct line to the amygdala. It's the voice of reason that can say, hey, amygdala, calm down. It's just burnt toast. We're good. By practicing these habits, you're literally building a stronger set of brakes for your brain's fear system. So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's this idea of neuroplasticity. It's a fancy word for a simple, incredible truth. Your brain can change. It is not fixed. It's designed to constantly learn, adapt, and rewire itself based on what you do and what you think. The exact same wiring that learns fear can be taught to learn safety. The same mind that gets stuck in anxious loops can build new, resilient habits. That's not just a nice, hopeful thought. It's a biological reality. So the real question is, knowing that your brain is built to change, how will you train yours?